John, welcome everybody. I am Vicariously Jimmy, and today we will be talking about more of Garden of Sinners Chapter 2 with Dakota Redheart. Sorry for the long wait of why it took me from going from my waiting screen. Because for some fucking reason, my Twitch chat doc on OBS is saying, hey, you're not logged into OBS or you're not logged into Twitch. You should probably log into Twitch to access this function to chat with your chat. I'm like, it's my fucking account. We're live streaming right now on my fucking account. How am I not already logged in to chat? What? Doesn't help that my OBS just updated too. Isn't this just amazing? Amazing. Ah. Now on top of it, so I'm gonna go into my creator dashboard. Stream manager. Going into stream manager, that way I can manage my stream off of the Twitch website and not with my goddamn OBS. Okay. I gone on vacation for a week. Well, welcome back, Lucas. Glad that you made it. Right. Alright, so got everything here and ready and waiting, and there's literally 2 screens of me. Okay. Alright, let's get Dakota in the call. Wherever they may be.
These nuts.
This is the Dakota Redheart.
Hello. How you doing, Jambi?
Doing alright.
That's good.
My model's still acting up? No, well, more or less. Depends on how you look at it. Nah, I'm just moving around right now, so is my model.
I'm assuming you're like looking down or something.
I'm trying to wrap a blanket around me, actually.
Gotta get yourself a Snuggie.
You know, I actually had a Snuggie at one point.
Mm.
I think my mother made me get rid of it, along with her
Aw.
forcing me to get rid of all my other prized possessions. Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah, my mom's a bitch. Anyways,
Dang.
let's see. Garden of Sinners Chapter 2. What do you remember of that? Because it was actually been like a couple weeks since we watched that episode.
Yeah, I remember like they were trying to like this is like the mystery of is she murdering people or not, and he was just kind of like, I don't believe you were, even though it looked like she clearly was.
Yes. So to emphasize a little bit of a point, I'm trying to start a podcast with Dakota here, talking about certain subjects and themes of entertainment mediums and genres. I rolled for what was it? I think the genre was
animation and thrillers.
It was animated thriller. It was actually the thriller was the genre. Animated movies / films was the medium. So I literally went to IMDb to look up a long list of what were considered animated thrillers, and it was actually a very good long list. So a lot of them were anime related. Surprise, surprise. So I was looking to see, well, okay, what Dakota's never watched that many animes in their lifetime, so I wonder what he'd like. And so I saw Garden of Sinners was one of them, and I knew for a fact that I do like the character from the series. I needed to watch it as well because I surprisingly up until this point I never watched Garden of Sinners, or I've read a little bit of the novels, but like not all the novels were translated, so I got like a little bit into the first novel, and that's about it.
One of those things where you've seen so much of it that you feel like you've watched it, but you haven't actually watched it.
Something along those lines,
Mm.
yes. Um, the first one was about a blind, disabled girl who slipped into a coma, and some person gave her the magic ability to project her spirit outside her body to experience
Mm.
to basically, from how she points it out from the first movie, to enjoy the world again.
Mm.
But because that she's lonely, she starts taking over or possessing random schoolgirls and pretty much convincing them to jump off of abandoned buildings to join her in the quote unquote afterlife to be ghosts with her.
Mm.
Um, and apparently one of the main characters named Mikia
Mm.
uh had apparently bumped into her at one point, and she was wanting to make him uh her next victim.
Mm.
But Toka realized what was happening to his body being possessed, and it had him knocked out for some time. It's like very loosely stated in the second movie, I believe, or
So he was just drugged the whole episode.
I want to say he was drugged. I think he was like magically put into a medical coma, if that makes sense. So he doesn't
Damn.
get up and just like yeet himself off the next building he sees, something like that.
Mm.
It's like it's not very explained well. I'll give it that. I'll admit that. But like that was basically an
Mm.
explanation of why he was basically in the start of the movie of the first one, disappeared for
Mm.
the most of the middle act, and then came back like literally at the end of it. Um, and
And
then
I'm just kind of like imagining them being like, I don't know why, but for some reason, I feel like they're going to jump off a building against their own will, and then they whack them with a frying pan.
that's basically a good summarization of
Mm.
why Mikia was basically taken
Mm.
out for a good portion of the first
Mm.
important acts, I guess you can say.
Mm.
So Toka did that, while Shiki decided to investigate the rest of these uh, supernatural incidents of girls yeeting themselves off of
Mm.
abandoned buildings. Turns out it was it was the ghost girl, and
Mm.
so, and again, like, it's not very explained as of yet, but it will be explained further
Mm.
on as we watch more of these chapters.
Mm.
That she has special eyes that allow her to see the basically lines of death of just about everything.
Mm.
Which is why her eye ability is called the Mystic Eyes of Death Perception.
Mm.
But Shiki kills off the ghosts, kills the spirit of the disabled blind girl, and apparently Toka was doing her own investigation into this matter as well on her side of things, like off screen,
Mm.
and confronts the disabled girl of, hey, you know, fuck you, but like, why were you doing this?
Mm.
And blind girl was like, oh yeah, this guy visited me, gave me this ability to astral project myself out of my body. I got lonely, and basically, I was on a more or less killing spree,
Mm.
and then proceeds to yeet herself off of one of those abandoned buildings as well.
Mm.
Um, and that was basically the gist of the first movie. Mikia comes back, gets released off his magically medically induced coma, and then that's basically the gist of the first movie. And the second movie, however, goes
Mm.
into the, how do I say?
The backstory between the guy and the girl Shiki.
Yeah, Mikia and Shiki, and how their friendship, unlikely friendship, formed to
Mm.
possibly more or less a relationship.
Mm.
Because in chapter 2, okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. So chapter 2 starts off with, some it's the movie tries to trick you up and make you second guess what the fuck is happening, because
Hmm.
how it looks, it seems like there's a yeah, a student l- studying late at night, going home. It was either a student or person, basically an average Joe working late or studying late, is tired and is going home, and then
Hmm.
they yawn, which causes them not to look both ways when crossing road. So like kids look both ways if you want to cross a road, want to jaywalk, and a car looks like it hits him, and there's blood splatter, and then a little later after that, it looks like his body was dragged, and his limbs were cut up, and his body was more or less disfigured. And
Hmm.
you see Shiki standing over this body, and oh, actually, I'm getting a little ahead of myself again. But I'll get to the
Wait,
actual.
she was there, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was standing over the body, and because of the events of the first movie, you're thinking that this is another investigation that she's
Hmm.
undertaking.
Hmm.
Uh, but how the actual opening act was Mikio was actually on his way to school. It's snowing, and then you see him pass by a younger Shiki. So this second movie, this chapter 2, is actually a prequel, and
Hmm.
like how we mentioned earlier, it goes into how Shiki and Mikia have an unlikely friendship, and how they met and everything,
Hmm.
and this is where the thriller genre gets into it, because the sound design for Garden of Sinners is like on point, because it's snowing outside. There's already like about an inch or two of snow on the ground, and it's like no other sound except the crunch of snow beneath Mickey's feet as he's like on his way home. So like it's like gets your attention already, because like there's no like obnoxious music hounding you,
Hmm.
tra la 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 la, like there's none of that. It's like it for the say for the crunch of snow beneath his feet.
Hmm.
That's all the noise there is. And so he passes by Shiki, who's overlooking a good city view or town view
Hmm.
of
She
the
looking kind of freaky.
yeah. Shiki is like looking out to like the cityscape, and Mickey is like, "Oh, hi there," and then Shiki just looks and stares at him, and then roll credits, and that's how the movie starts off. Then it goes into the person who's yawning gets seemingly ran over by a truck-kun, and possibly gets isekai to another world. Who knows? But
Hmm.
basically, that's how the events of the movie start off. So you quite literally get dead silence of crunching snow. Mikia meets Shiki possibly for the first time, it seems,
Hmm.
and then somebody gets ran over by a truck. That's basically how the movie starts off,
Hmm.
and the movie tries its hardest to create a suspension of disbelief or subverting expectations, depending on how you look at it, of is Shiki the killer? Who knows? And then the entire events of the movie is more or less
Hmm.
how Mikia and Shiki become friends. So
Hmm.
everyone at school like avoids Shiki like the plague, because
Hmm.
she's just an odd girl to be around, and she kind of is odd in general.
Hmm.
Because out of everyone wearing like school uniforms that you see in like generic anime of high school protagonists and whatnot, Shiki's the only one that always wears like traditional kimono robes and whatnot. No one
Hmm.
else where in the series does that. Then uh and everyone's like thinking, "Oh, she's an omen." stay away from her. And then Mikia is like, "You want to eat lunch together?" And so, and so because of that, she's even saying like, "Are you sure you want to hang out with me?" It's like everyone doesn't like me because I'm weird, and like, well, I like you because you're weird, and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of bro.
Mm-hmm.
And like, and even throughout the movie, is on top of that, it's like, hey, and everyone's like, "Are you two going out and whatnot?" And Mickey was like,
Mm-hmm.
"No, I just like Shiki as a friend," even though,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of a spoiler, and kind of going a little bit ahead of the, getting ahead of myself. Like, Mickey outright admits that he loves Shiki, but like he
Mm-hmm.
at the same time is like, "I only like love you like a brother," or something like that, or something like that. I never really understood that. Japan has in general,
Mm-hmm.
has an interesting way of showing affection to others. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, instead of using your birth name that your parents give you in Japan, it's more respectful to refer them to their last names.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for example, in let's say for like anime example, uh uh what's it? People would refer to. Oh no, I guess I can't because you use that as example. Let's use Naruto names for example. Like Naruto, the
Mm-hmm.
main character is Naruto Uzumaki. So if you
Mm-hmm.
were a polite acquaintance of his, you would literally just refer him as Uzumaki
Mm-hmm.
or Uzumaki-san or something like that. So like you would always refer to somebody as their last name. But like if you're like close personal friends, and my cat is in crackhead mode now apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, if you're close personal friends, whatnot, you just refer to each other as like, hey, this is my friend Naruto,
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. Uh, but like, if you ever were like buddy with that person, you would in most Japanese mediums, you would
Mm-hmm.
hardly ever see people give someone a hug,
Mm-hmm.
even if they like look like they really fucking needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like showing affection in such a manner in Japan, from my understanding, is just like almost unheard of. Like you would
Mm-hmm.
like even if you're like married to, like you never really see it in Japanese mediums or Japanese like anime shows and whatnot. Like even like all my years of watching Kamen Rider, like which is more or less a fictitious basis of like Japanese society of like whatever year this Kamen Rider show set in, like
Mm-hmm.
you hardly ever see people being like overtly friendly. Whereas like in America, in the United States, for example, like you would have people being like so buddy with each other, like like wrapping an arm around your shoulders to like take a selfie with you. You do not see that in Japan mediums at all, which is I think that's how they are societally, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's like how do I say it's like you never really see anyone confess like their feelings for one another in
Mm-hmm.
a traditional manner, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like how like yeah, like oh Dakota, I'm so madly in love with you. Like
Hey yo.
you're never gonna see something like that
Mm-hmm.
in Japan. The most like you'll ever see anything close to that is if like there's like a Japanese medium fixating on like Valentine's Day, which is
Mm-hmm.
traditionally men ask girls out, but then there's
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if this is accurate or not, but it's called White Day, and it's like the reverse of Valentine's Day, where it's the girls who admit their feelings to their crush.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's the closest you're ever gonna get to stuff like that. And even then, in like anime and all that, they always have like the protagonist
Mm-hmm.
just like I don't know, like pull back at like the last second, and it pisses me off in like anime
Mm-hmm.
all the time. Like just fuck already, or just
Mm-hmm.
spit it out already, just kiss already.
Mm-hmm.
And then like this is where I had to look into it and why it's like that in Japan. And it's because of like they're not overtly affectionate or not overtly
Mm-hmm.
admitting to their feelings, like how we are. Like with
Mhm.
us, we can just basically say, "Hey, you looking good? You want to like, go to a hotel together?"
Mhm.
Whereas in Japan, that's more or less not the case, which is ironic too. Well, this okay. So little off tangent. I know, but
Mhm.
like now that I'm thinking about this also makes sense to certain cultural differences between Japan
Mhm.
uh and the United States, for example,
Mhm.
where like prostitution in Japan is more or less encouraged, but not for the reasons you and I would think it's encouraged. Like
Mhm.
in Japan, it's encouraged for more or less stress relief, whereas with the United States, is encouraged in ways that just want to get your rocks off, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And but in Japan, it's encouraged in such a way where even married couples are encouraging men to seek prostitution for stress relief in order to keep themselves happy. I don't know. It's like very strange, and it's why in Japan, if you asked a married woman if she would be fine with her significant other, her husband, for example, in indulging himself with prostitutes, and 9 times out of 10, if you look up interviews for this topic, the wife of the topic in hand would actually say they are completely fine with their husband going with a prostitute because it's not true love, it is lust, and
Mhm.
more just a stress reliever for the husband, which don't really get it because like
Mhm.
if you have like a good sex life with your partner, why don't you just indulge with the partner? I don't know. I don't know,
Mhm.
but that's just me, that's just my
Mhm.
perspective of it. But like that's kind of how culture culture shock works. It's like it's
Mhm.
like what's weird to one culture
Mhm.
is normal to another.
One thing I think it's kind of like interesting is I heard this somewhere that apparently uh adult comedies from America are really popular in Japan, like Ted and Smiling Friends. And I remember listening to someone say that. I think it's kind of like ironic how like Americans kind of gravitate towards anime because like in anime everyone's so cute and very polite, while Japan likes adult stuff, like American stuff, where it's like, oh my god, funny bears say fuck word.
Yeah, very much so. It's like it's also I think that applies to a lot of other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Like and it's why in certain I don't want to say like third world countries, but like just
Mm-hmm.
certain countries in the world are like from a certain point of view they're like behind the times more or less. Like
Mm-hmm.
you'll have people I really don't really have an example for this aside from this episode of American Dad, but like there's
Mm-hmm.
this episode of American Dad where where the main family gets shipped off to be stationed
Mm-hmm.
out in Saudi Arabia, and in Saudi Arabia they are a very traditional country
Mm-hmm.
where they have their religious and social economical beliefs are so strict that's
Mm-hmm.
that like that women do not have any rights to such a degree that they have to be accompanied by a male, otherwise they will face possible imprisonment.
Oh dang.
Yeah, it's that fucking strict, that very traditional, and that very social economically,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say imbalanced, but like I
Mm-hmm.
said, there's like so much that they don't have access to in Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so Haley Smith, the daughter of Stan, one of the main characters, she
Mm-hmm.
had a pen pal in Saudi Arabia, and went out to to interact with him to learn of his culture.
Mm-hmm.
But when she finally meets him, he's like
Mm-hmm.
decked out in like Michael Jackson attire, and so this episode was like back in 2007. So and this was like
Okay.
young Michael Jackson attire too. So he's like way out of date. He's like 20 years behind the times.
Oh God.
And he was like, "Oh, that Jennifer Aniston," and like swing. And he was using so many like catchphrases that are both stereotypical of Americans back in
Mm-hmm.
that time. So like he was like a decade or two behind the times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and another example I can go off of, based off of Gabriel Iglesias' experience of going to Saudi Arabia, excuse me, was that he was personally reached out to, or his agent was personally reached out to by a Saudi Arabian prince who
Mm-hmm.
wanted him to come out to perform in Saudi Arabia. And so he was very skeptical about this because, you know, it was out in the Middle East, and he, you know, and around this time there were so many like stereotypes and hate mongering toward Middle Easterns because of news media and whatnot. And he goes out there. He was pleasantly surprised of how beautiful and well kept everything was, and how nice
Mm-hmm.
everyone was. Um, but he and his tour guide helped guide, you know, show him around like the tourist attractions and whatnot. And he was told like, "You're like most popular comedian, or second most popular comedian in the world,
Mm-hmm.
or in Saudi Arabia." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Have you watched any of my specials on like HBO or
Mm-hmm.
Netflix or anything?" And the Saudi Arabian tourist guide told him, "Oh, no, 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 no. We don't have access to all
Mm-hmm.
that here legally." And he was confused by that. So like, how do you get YouTube and everything? Oh, because YouTube is banned. But
Mm-hmm.
like, there's like, you know, illegal means of being, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
Yarharing Gabriel
Yar.
Iglesias
Mm-hmm.
and any of his stand-up shows. And you know, it was through those means that he was popular in Saudi Arabia, because the
Mm-hmm.
government does not allow things like
Mm-hmm.
YouTube to exist in their country.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and another thing on top of that is that even comedy is illegal in Saudi Arabia. And so
Wow.
yeah, so Gabriel Iglesias was really concerned and confused, like, how am I going to perform if it's illegal in this country? And then the tourist guy, "Oh, we'll take you out to the desert to perform, outside the city limits." And that even worried Gabriel Iglesias even more, because he thought he was gonna get fucking killed.
Oh no.
And so he was like, "Oh, so it was just a personal request of a prince to perform." And so
Mm-hmm.
it was like, "So how many people am I gonna perform? 50, 100 people maybe?"
Mm-hmm.
And the tourist guide, "You are going to perform to 10,000 people or something like that." And Gabriel
Mm-hmm.
Iglesias was like, "What? 10,000 people and comedy and all this stuff is very restricted and illegal in this country? How do you all know me?" And like, "You're number two, remember?" And Gabriel Iglesias is like, "Who's number one then?" And he's like, and then his tour guide is like, "Jeff Dunham."
That's the puppet guy,
That's
right?
the puppet guy.
Oh God. Puppets do be funny.
This is true, which is even more ironic that Jeff Dunham's number one because of Ahmed, the terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
But um and it's actually a very touching story too, because the prince who requested him,
Mm-hmm.
you would have thought that this prince, you know, would be like, you know, Britain's prince, who is like in his 50s or 40s,
Mm-hmm.
right? No, this was a 17-year-old that requested him.
Makes sense.
Yeah, a 17-year-old requested him. And even though, and Gabriel Iglesias was actually surprised with how mature and how
Mm,
open mind. I don't know about open mind. Well, yeah, open minded, but
mm-hmm,
more reserved he was for his age.
mm-hmm.
And he kept on forgetting that this is a prince half the time. So he had to not let the the book cover
Not get too comfortable and say something you sure I shouldn't.
no more so not wanting to um how do I say this? Not wanting to, let the appearance of his age be what defines him,
Mm-hmm,
if that makes
mm-hmm,
sense.
mm-hmm,
And so Gabriel Iglesias did his performance. He had a good show, and he talked to the prince, and he asked him like if all this is illegal here and all this is very restrictive, why did you ask me to come and perform? And the prince refers to the audience. Look at all those people. Look
mm-hmm,
at you have the rich and the poor, the young and the old, all
mm-hmm,
together, laughing, smiling, all for the sake of comedy and peace and tranquility. And he was like, and so this is why I got caught up with saying that he
mm-hmm,
is progressive, because he does
mm-hmm,
not want to be bound by the traditionalism of Saudi Arabia, because
mm-hmm,
like it all that the comedy of Gabriel Iglesias brought all
mm-hmm,
those people together for,
mm-hmm,
and no one was fighting, no one was pulling a class war on one another. It was just good honest people wanting
mm-hmm,
to have a chuckle, and wanting everyone to share and indulge themselves in the festivities.
mm-hmm,
And so that's why one of the reasons why the prince brought uh Gabriel Iglesias out was basically to make a political statement, more or less, where
mm-hmm,
where you should not be afraid to laugh, and
mm-hmm,
and and things like that. And there's other instances where something like that has happened in real life. So
mm-hmm.
Gabriel Iglesias was more or less the good, honest approach to it. Then you have Sasha Baron Cohen, where Sasha Baron Cohen, if you know who he is, he's Borat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's Bruno. He
He's King
is
Julian.
King Julian, and he's uh the dictator as well.
Mm-hmm.
But a Borat is from the Middle Eastern country of Afghanistan or something like that. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing about it. It's actually a real country.
Oh no.
And that country's leader was offended because he did not want
Mm-hmm.
people to think that his country is a joke. But I
That's honestly fair.
So what happened was the entire country sued Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh damn.
And you wanna know who came to his Sasha's aid and defended
Mm-hmm.
him?
Oh.
The the country's leader's daughter
Mm-hmm.
came out to defend him.
Mm-hmm.
And she even had a very similar philosophy as the Saudi Arabian prince
Mm-hmm.
of why and because even though Borat was a
Mm-hmm.
satire and a comedy and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
it did bring in positive economic growth with tourist attraction after the movie came out. And she even said her,
Mm-hmm.
and I quote, is like, our country should not be afraid to laugh. That was
Mm-hmm.
her very quote
Mm-hmm.
about her defense of Sacha Baron Cohen and Borat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like there's like so many like
Mm-hmm.
economical cultural shocks between like one culture or another. So like how you mentioned, anime being popular in the US, and then alternatively like adult comedies like Ted, for example, being
Mm-hmm.
popular in Japan as well. Like there's like always
Mm-hmm.
those trade-offs that you never think
Mm-hmm.
would like stick because of
Mhm.
how prudent one country is compared to the other,
Mhm.
or how we perceive them, at least. Which is actually very ironic too, considering how Japan is also known for producing a lot of comedians, or at least I should
Mhm.
say their state of Osaka is known for producing comedians. Like that's literally
Mhm.
how Filthy Frank, for example. Filthy Frank is
Mhm.
biracial, but his mother was from Osaka, Japan, I believe. And then when he lived in Japan for a good long while, he lived primarily in Osaka as well, from my
Mhm.
understanding. And that's normally where, like I said before, where a lot of comedians in Japan come from. And so, Filthy Frank being like a comedic sketch show for the longest time, a lot of Japanese
Mhm.
translators and Japanese people who translate a lot of his Japanese bits uh, catch that his accent is quite
Mhm.
literally Osaka.
Mhm.
But yeah,
They got the reference.
they understand why he's such a
Mhm.
comedic relief, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Because he's from Osaka. I was like, oh, he's from Osaka,
Mhm.
so he's a comedic.
Mhm.
And they always have like those kind of like, I don't know if they would consider it as like social stereotypes, but like that's where
Mhm.
Japan gets a lot of a understanding of like, oh, you're from
Mhm.
this side of Japan, so like you're a comedian, you're a farmer, and whatnot.
Mhm.
There's always like those kinds of like quote unquote stereotypes.
Mhm.
But yeah. Anyways, tangent over. Going back to talking about Garden of Sinners.
Mhm.
Um, throughout the rest of the movie, there's always this on again, off again spree of dead bodies every now and then,
Mhm.
where you don't know if Shiki is the actual killer or not.
Mhm.
And throughout the movie, you have, oh, here comes the train. Give it a second.
Choo choo.
Oh, it's really loud this time around. Okay, I think it's safe to talk now. It's
Yeah, I do wonder if they're gonna like answer if she did it or not in like future episodes because
um
like because like it kind of like framed like it's kind of framed like yeah she did do it, like I kind of like honestly think she probably did do it, but in the same time apparently the bodies were kind of defiled, where like one of them had like a Yahtzee symbol on it, I think one of the cops said, and I'm like, I don't, why would Shiki do that?
so that's the
It's kind of just seems random, like all the stuff that happens to the bodies.
yeah, that's like each body was mutilated in unique patterns, so it's really hard.
Hmm.
So it kind of throws the cops off of
Hmm.
identifying if this is the same killer or not. But
Hmm.
the thing about the Yahtzee symbol, the swastika, for example,
Hmm.
historically speaking, the swastika was actually culturally appropriated by Germany, Yahtzee
Hmm.
Germany back in the time, and they
Hmm.
misused that swastika symbol. It's
Hmm.
actually originally, depending on what culture you're looking at, whether it be Native Americans or uh, Buddhism,
Hmm.
or I think it was Taoism. Can't remember. It it originally meant a symbol of peace. So oftentimes in Japanese culture,
Hmm.
I need to ask my friend about this because she actually converted to this a religious belief, and she actually explains to me where it comes from. I have to talk to her about that again, like what her uh religious view is again, because it's a Japanese belief. I
Mm-hmm.
can't, Shinto. It's Shinto. In Shinto belief, it's actually a peaceful sign, and because it is ingrained in Japanese culture, some
Mm-hmm.
anime
Mm-hmm.
still have characters that utilize that symbol, and but because of the Yahtzees back in
Yeah,
World
they
War
like
II,
freaking ruined it.
they ruined it for some, and so like the initial meaning, if you see it in anime, gets construed a lot to the
Mm-hmm.
point where if that where it gets censored when it gets translated
Yeah.
coming over to the US, which is
Mm-hmm.
understandable, but at the same time you're taking it in the wrong light, which is making it even worse
Mm-hmm.
than what it actually is.
But like for like pretty much most of the world, it's like a symbol of like really bad. So like, I kind of get why they would censor it. But yeah, it's sucks when stuff is like ruined.
Mm-hmm. um So when the one officer was saying, "Oh, this guy's arms and legs were turned to a swastika," it's most likely because of that,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be out of a sense of irony because of
Mm-hmm.
what it means in Shinto belief.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
I guess that logic kind of makes sense because one body had a yin yang,
Mm-hmm.
but okay.
Which is also in Shinto belief as well, so
Mm-hmm.
it could be mostly because of Shinto.
Yeah. But just like the other context is kind of like, why would Shiki put that symbol on them?
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, imagine a high school girl doing that." I'm like, "Oh shit."
Mm-hmm.
But as well on top of that as well, we actually come to realize that she we see Shiki and Mikia again basically go on a
Mm-hmm.
date, and it turns out
Mm-hmm.
that Shiki is acting very out of character
Mm-hmm.
in a way that makes sense as soon as she explains to Mikia that she is a split personality, more or less,
Mm-hmm.
where there is the Shiki who is calm and reserved, and then there's the Shiki who is all the things that normal Shiki bottles up
Mm-hmm.
and wants to let loose, like killing tendencies and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever uh normal quiet reserved Shiki wants to go on a killing spree,
Mm-hmm.
she lets the other do it for her, basically, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it turns out that anyone who gets close to Shiki, whether it be like friends or platonic or romantic, end up getting
Mm-hmm.
killed as well because of these
Damn.
extra emotions that get bottled up and released through the other Shiki.
Mm-hmm.
So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you get with Shiki, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Cheeky get kind of freaky.
basically, especially how the end of their meeting between them is, and
Mm-hmm.
so going towards the end of the movie, it ends with Shiki, well, with Mikia encountering a freshly dead body, and then Shiki
Mm-hmm.
standing over that freshly dead body. So you have
Mm-hmm.
no idea. Well, it's more or less heavily implied now that it's Shiki doing the
Mm-hmm.
killings possibly, and
Mm-hmm.
then it causes Mikia to run the fuck away.
Mm-hmm.
Because now the other Shiki is trying to kill Mikia because of both the growing affection that normal Shiki is developing for Mikia, and the fact that I'm pretty sure he, just saw a there's a witness now. Can't have
Mm-hmm.
any witnesses,
Mm-hmm.
and
As the wise words of Santa Claus once said, no witnesses.
and and so it ends with Shiki just chasing down Mikia, and it was about to kill him, and it's really interesting and hard to say because like he wants to live, but she wants to kill him, and it's a weird way of saying, I really like you, but I have to kill you. And I'm feeling pretty. I might kill my boyfriend later. I don't know.
It's literally like, please don't kill me. I don't want to die. And Shiki's just like, but I wanna.
Basically. And
I could see like someone make like kind of like one of those like YouTube music videos with scenes from it where the song "I Can't Decide Whether You Should Live or Die."
oh, basically. But then the end of the movie happens, and they fast forward 3 years later, where it turns and where sometime happens after the events of that night, and Mikia for some reason covers for Shiki and does not give her out to the cops. And 3 years later, Shiki has like an accident that causes her to lose her memories. And this is where I see why people think that there should be a specific watch order for Garden of Sinners, because if you start with chapter 2 first, it kind of makes sense as a introduction to the show properly. But I'm not quite sure of that myself. I feel like the normal watch order is fine for what it is so far.
I'm assuming like the goal of the series is it's supposed to be out of order, so that way the fun is to like the more you watch, you can piece together like, oh, so it's kind of like you're like solving the mystery like by watching it out of order.
Basically, yeah.
But the first episode was good, but like I don't think I would watch more because I didn't really get anything from it. But the second one felt like more of like, okay, there's like characters and like I know what's going on. I could follow it better.
Right. It's like more self-contained.
And
then this is where our next podcast involving chapter 3 is gonna get a little thrown through a loop, because I kind of watched the next chapter ahead of time.
Oh dang!
And oh my god, how it starts strong. Well, not strong in a good way, because it's I don't even know how to explain this without telling you, because I kind of want the shock value to slap you across the face like it did for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get introduced to a new character.
Okay.
And I will tell you, she has an interesting eye ability to Shiki, similar to Shiki in that regard. But that is much as I'm going to tell you. And so possibly tomorrow, if you're free, or whenever we have the time for it, we can watch chapter 3 together, and so you get to see what I'm talking about with that.
Does the next episode basically explain and introduce the powers? Because I feel like if you haven't been kept bringing up like magic eye powers, I wouldn't even know she had that. I would thought it was just like a style, like just a style choice for like the animation where her eyes glowed. They don't really talk about magic, like, because like the second episode, there's like no supernaturalness in the second episode at all. And like I think I mentioned when we watched the first episode, if you got rid of the ghosts, you probably could have just made it like a normal detective story.
Right. They do bring up abilities and powers and magic, more or less, because the new character apparently had this eye power of hers since she was a young child. And
Mm.
I don't want to get too much
Yeah,
into
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but like they do make it more prevalent
Kind of like
to make.
introduce it in a way.
I don't want to say
Well, like not necessarily introduced because it's been like hinted at in the first episode, but actually kind of like, by the
explore it a
way,
little bit. Yeah,
we
yeah,
have magic eye powers.
yeah, yeah. They do
Mm-hmm.
have you settle in more with that
Mm-hmm.
fact, that
Like,
revelation.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um.
Was there
eh,
was there product placement in the second episode? I feel like there was, but I didn't. I don't remember.
if there was, we might have missed it because I don't recall us pointing out, hey, like,
Hmm.
oh, there's that.
Hmm. I don't know. The Hagen does, and then was it the Minute Maid in that other end was just funny to me. I hope that's like a recurring gag.
I kind of
I
that would have been funny if it were.
mhm. It's just kind of like I feel like RO in real life, like products, their packaging is a little more detailed. So like when you have it in an anime, they just look overly detailed with like their like labeling. It's just really funny. Like it just sticks out. Like that's just product placement. I recognize that.
Yeah, yeah. Oftentimes when you have stuff like that, that like throws you through a
Mhm.
little bit. It takes the out of the anime,
Mhm.
but like to me, I feel
The
like
immersion.
yeah, it ruins the immersion a little bit. But at the
Mhm.
same time, it's like kind of reminds me of like the Adam Sandler movies where like it's known for
Mhm.
having product placement, but at the same
Mhm.
time, it's supposed to be like semi-realistic
Mhm.
or semi in the real world. So that's like how I'm
Mhm.
kind of taking it, more or less.
Mhm. I love I heavily believe in the theory that all the recent Adam Sandler movies are just excuses to go on vacation because all the movies are like vacation movies with his friends.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Especially when he's getting up there in age and he wants
Mm,
to like relax more. And
mm,
how like a lot of his like last few
mm,
movies in the last decade have been more or less him playing a
mm,
caricature of himself. Yeah, he's most
mm.
likely being on just
Yeah,
going on vacation.
it's like he has one where he goes to Africa. There's one where he's on a cruise ship. There's one where he's like in like a lake cabin, and now he's like they're doing Happy Gilmore 2. He's just like playing golf. It's just a fucking vacation.
Not gonna lie, I am kind of curious how Happy Gilmore 2 is gonna
Mhm.
work out, but
The
like,
trailer came out.
yeah, I saw that too, and I'm
Mhm.
very curious
I
now.
feel like they're gonna lead more into like normal sports movies, like a little more serious. It looks like he's gonna train kids how to play golf or something.
I could see it be something like a little similar to like
Hmm.
bench warmers, I guess.
Hmm. Like it looks a little more grounded,
That'd be neat.
probably because like as he becomes more like just like kind of like a normal grumpy guy the older he gets. So it's kind of like harder for him to play his like silly characters now. So
Yeah,
they just lead into his like grandpa-ness, grumpy grandpa-ness.
yeah, yeah, I can see that.
Hmm. Because like when he's younger, like oh you could buy him playing like a silly like stupid character, but like him doing that as an old man is just kind of like weird. So they're just like, okay, we just have to do like your just normal, your default personality, where you're just kind of just like a grumpy normal guy.
Right. Did you hear there's going to be like a Big Daddy 2? From what I hear.
Big Daddy 2, that the one where he has a kid.
Yeah,
What's that gonna be about?
I have no idea, but I actually heard that. I think the Sprouse twins are actually gonna come back to reprise their role as the kid again,
That's
but like grown
that's
up.
interesting.
Yeah,
The only thing I could see them doing with that is maybe being about the kid going through the same situation. And then
probably.
maybe Adam Sandler's it's like, oh, it's like the first day daycare, but now Adam Sandler's a grandparent.
Yeah, it could lead into that grumpy grandpa
Hmm.
idea of yours.
Hmm. I kind of meme about this, but I honestly want Adam Sandler to either voice King Boo or Egad in a Luigi Mansion movie, or both.
Oh, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Like he can do his stupid voice for Egad, and then his like Dracula voice for King Boo.
Oh, that would be really awesome. Not gonna lie, I would
Like
love that.
he could like voice both of them, and maybe you could have like a like kind of a subtle reveal that maybe King Boo is a descendant. Egad is a descendant of King Boo. Maybe that's why he has his mansion. But I don't really know Boo lore. I don't know if the Boos are actually like people before they died.
Possibly. I'm not quite sure of like Mario lore myself either. I would have to
Mm-hmm.
probably reach out to one of my cousins who actually is a Mario expert. But like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I would assume the Boos, like other ghosts, might be dead people, but I would assume the Boos might just be like a different species that just look like ghosts. Because like I don't know like how much like Nintendo's be like, oh yeah, there's dead people in Mario, but I guess there's dry bones. Those are just dead Koopas.
I mean the bricks that you jump
Mm-hmm.
and smash in Mario are actually some of
Mm-hmm.
the citizens of the Mushroom Kingdom. So
Mm-hmm.
you're
I think I heard that.
yeah, so you're like inadvertently just killing a whole bunch of like
Mm-hmm.
innocent citizens that are just turned to bricks.
Did you know the original idea for like one-up mushrooms? I believe it's like their idea when they were coming up with it is like every time Mario dies, he becomes his that Mario who died his becomes a seed and grows into a mushroom. So the mushrooms are past Mario's from previous game overs.
That's that's fucked. What?
That was like the I don't know if it's like canon now, but that was like the original thought idea. Like where are these one up mushrooms come from? Like oh, it's just Mario's from previous game overs. Like they became a mushroom.
Oh boy.
Unrelated, but like there's gonna be there's I think the Minecraft movie like the one lady's gonna do it with a villager.
Wait, what?
So I've been seeing ads. There's like the lady who runs over the villager with her car. Like the actress is
Oh no! Oh, I saw
there's
that.
I saw another commercial where they're like on a date, and I'm just like, she's gonna feed that fucker a breadstick, and a baby's gonna spawn. I just know it.
What the fuck?
There's gonna be villager sex
Oh god.
because like the second like the third trailer it shows like a panda being born, like two pandas eat like a bamboo. There's hearts, and then a baby spawns. She's gonna feed that villager a piece of bread. And they're gonna be next to a bed, and then poof! Oh my god! It's my child.
But doesn't it have to be mutual though?
It looks like she's on a date with the fucker. It's gonna happen. She's clearly into him. Your head is so huge. There's just gonna be a whole subplot with her dating a villager. Like, oh my god, you're so weird looking, but kind of attractive.
The fact,
Here, have a piece of bread.
the fact that fucking Illager has more game than fucking me is criminal.
No. Oh, did you see the new Minecraft update?
I have not played Minecraft in a hot
Well,
minute, so I have not.
they just had an update which gives us lore on the gas, and now they're the most sad and tragic creature in Minecraft ever.
Why? What's
So
their
like
lore?
so basically they added 3 new things to Minecraft. One, a dried ghast. Then if you bring that dried gas to the overworld, it's a little block that looks like a dead tiny gas. You bring it to overworld, put it in water, it becomes a baby ghast. And then you can feed him snowballs, and he grows into like a big happy gas, which you can ride. But like the lore is that the gas aren't supposed to be in the nether; they're actually aquatic creatures, and they're basically like it's basically hell and painful in the nether for them, and that's why they're like so aggro. And because they're aquatic, they have to cry on their young, so that way they don't dry up and die. And that's why the gas drop tears when you kill them.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
I
So
s-
like now there's a bunch of memes like I've been killing. Now I feel so bad for killing gas. Now they don't want to be there.
I mean,
They just want to take care of their babies so they don't die.
yeah, that is tragic and sounding, but like I
Mm,
still have like so many fucking bad experiences with gas. Like
mm.
yeah, I'm still gonna nuke them on site basically.
But yeah, you can find like the dried gas next to a bunch of gas skeletons, and like you have like a pet gas in like the normal world, and you put like a harness on them, and they get little nerd goggles, and you can fly around on them.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Not gonna lie.
Like I sent the video in the Discord chat. It's kind of
I got to watch those whenever I can.
funny. Mm. Yeah, I just funny seeing the memes like, oh my, the people feeling so bad for the guests. Like, wait a minute, they're just in pain. They're just in constant pain. How did they get into the Nether? What are they doing there? They eat snowballs. Why are they in like lava land?
You know, that is a good question. How the fuck are they in the Nether then?
I don't know. I think it's also someone pointing out like how like people forget, but Minecraft's like in a post-apocalyptic world in a way because there's like ancient ruins. There's basically hell, and like you could like zombies at night. Basically, like an apocalyptic world.
You know, honestly, I never really got that
Hmm.
perspective, but now that you
Hmm.
say that, that makes so much sense now.
Like you spawn in this like abandoned, empty world, and you just survive, and you just find like ancient ruins. You go to hell. Zombies at night. It's basically an apocalypse. The only surviving people are the villagers.
Now that actually makes me want to watch the Minecraft movie so I can actually get like see if
But
they
the
have.
Minecraft, they're not gonna do that.
I was gonna say like they're not gonna do that, but like I kind of want to understand what the fuck happened now in the Minecraft lore,
Mhm.
and possibly watch the movies if they actually do anything related to that.
Did you know there's going to be a piglin character in the Minecraft movie named General Chungus?
General Chungus, huh?
Big Chungus. Warner Brothers is probably, after referencing Big Chungus, Warner Brothers was probably like, okay, we just need a copyright Chungus.
Christ. Oh
Probably.
my
So
god.
that.
I hate how you bring up I hate how you bring up Warner Brothers and like literally
Mhm.
like this morning before I went to work,
Mhm.
I literally watched a movie from Saber Spark in regards to
Yeah.
the latest Looney Tunes animated movie.
Mhm. It's a miracle that even got out because they didn't want to sell any. I don't know. I don't know why they sold that one and not the other ones. Because there was like the two other Looney Tunes movies. There's gonna be the Bugs Bunny one, and then like the Acme one. But like they only sold the Day the Earth Blew Up. It's kind of weird. Maybe it's because that one was more finished. But like apparently, Wile E. Coyote versus Acme is like almost done. But I guess that's because it's live action. It's more expensive.
I guess.
But I know the Bugs Bunny movie, they leaked like a song for it leaked, like of Bugs Bunny singing. It looked from the song, it sounds like it's gonna be about Bugs Bunny, the actor, who's tired of being Bugs Bunny, being known for Bugs Bunny, and just wants to be a normal rabbit.
Hmm. That's quite interesting.
Hmm. But like apparently, I was watching a stream and someone mentioned that because Day to Earth blew up. I don't know if it's doing that well, but it's probably doing decent enough that the studio that bought the rights is trying to buy the rights to Wile E. Coyote versus Acme.
I'd
So
work
it might
too.
actually get released.
Hopefully.
Hmm.
Because it's so fucking criminal that Warner Brothers, who are known for the Looney
Hmm.
Tunes, who literally got their name because of the
Hmm.
fucking Looney Tunes, just
Hmm.
wants nothing to do with Looney Tunes. Like, how does that make any sense? That's like
This all
baseball.
just it all just stems down to the guy who was put in charge of Warner Brothers a few years ago, David Zaslav.
Fuck
He's
'em.
like he's the guy. He's like from Discovery Channel,
Ew.
And he's the reason all the Discovery channels and like the travel channels and stuff don't have documentaries anymore, and it's just like a bunch of like reality shows like Pawn Stars, Ancient Aliens, and like Pimple Popper.
Uh,
So like it makes sense why why everything's going to shit. I think like the only thing that he's probably done that's gonna be like good is put James Gunn in charge, but in the end he just hired a guy who's popular.
yeah.
So like, and then James Gunn's just gonna make good shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a no-brainer move. They were probably thinking about doing that before he was fucking hired.
Yeah.
But like, did you know what they did when the new Looney Tunes movie came out? They removed Looney Tunes from HBO Max.
I saw that on the Saberspark video. That was fucking stupid.
The level of hating is like, damn.
Yeah, so fucking depressing too. I was even like, hey, mate, I kind of want to binge editing now. Wait, is it even on anywhere? Then it's not even on fucking HBO Max. God damn it.
He just has like a hate boner for animation for some reason. I think he just doesn't think it's worth the money worth it. Like kids aren't worth having kids stuff on there because they're even making it harder to like find animation on HBO Max. Like they got rid of like the Cartoon Network channels and stuff. Like it's on there, but like it's kind of just like mixed around now. They don't have their little sorted area.
Yeah.
It's like weird.
All right. Got about over an hour and 14 minutes with this one. A lot of tangents from both of us. Any last thoughts or questions before we end stream today, Dakota?
I don't know.
What are you expecting or excited for chapter 3?
I'm not actually sure because like they kind of all just seem self-contained. So like that's there might just be about anything. And like I wouldn't probably know. But I guess it's gonna be about like some of the powers from what you've said. But again, that's really interesting how this show probably could, if you get rid of if you could write out the magic and stuff, and it could just be like a detective thing.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't really know if it would be that good of a detective thing because they don't really solve any mysteries. She kind of just like watches the bodies and there's like, oh yeah, there's a ghost.
Ghost.
She just watched enough people drop from the building to like see a ghost at the top. Like, oh, there's a ghost up there. That's who did it.
It was
and
ghost.
It kind of just ends where like the boss slave's just like, yeah, it was you, wasn't it? Yeah, it was me. Weird. Expedition dub.
Yeah, more or less.
Does Shiki even like get the exposition dump after the fact where the boss is, oh, by the way, I talked to like the ghost. They're apparently astral projecting or whatever. But yeah.
It was implied.
Or does Shiki just not know?
Yeah, it was implied that she was told afterwards.
That just reminds me, there was like a cartoon on like a recent Cartoon Network cartoon. Sadly, you know, it got Zazlaved, and season 2 is probably animated and done, but that's in like the Warner Brothers vault. It's kind of sad. They should just release fucking season 2.
What are you talking about?
It's a Cartoon Network show called Adventures of Mao Mao. But like there was like an episode of Adventures of Mao Mao where the one character who's like the younger kid character, Adorabat, they learn how to astro project. And they like astro project to get out of going to the dentist, and she's just like floating into like space. Like, Adorabat, get the fuck down here! No, I'm not going to the dentist. Fuck you! It just like floats up into space.
That's a mood.
This is kind of funny. I'm not going to the dentist. It's scary. Fuck you! Get down here right now. Stop astro projecting.
That's a fucking mood. I gotta lie.
Yeah. But then I think she astral projects so high, she meets someone who's been astral projecting their whole life. And like, they're an old man and they're like a stinky corpse or whatever. And she's like, ew, I don't want to grow up to be like that. You're gross. No, you gotta embrace the lazy life and just astral project so you don't have to like live. I don't know.
Yeah, that does sound very goofy. Alright. Anything else before we sign off?
I don't think so.
All right. Hopefully by this week or next week, when I'll probably be posting a
Mm-hmm.
schedule. I'll probably start streaming again. Hopefully this week, and I'll probably be
Mm-hmm.
streaming the South Park games.
Mm-hmm.
So look out for that.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't see you all again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thank you for joining us for our little rambles again. And if I don't see you again, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Let's see. I think we're just gonna end the stream here. Thank you for joining. Thank you again for joining me, Dakota. See you again
No
for.
problem.
I'll see you again for chapter 3. Bye
Yeah.
bye, everybody. Bye bye.
Boy.